Welcome back to the Senate Committee on Government Operations meeting on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Up for our consideration is S-291, an act relating to travel disclosures for legislators and certain executive officers. And Tim Devlin, our legal counsel, has joined us, and I understand that there have been some suggested amendments to the bill.
Yes, thank you very much for having me, committee members. For the record, my name is Tim Devlin, Legislative Counsel. We have, let's see, a new draft committee amendment. It's draft 2.1 to S-291, an act relating to travel disclosure for legislators and certain executive officers. We have 5 new changes, some of which came from recommendations based from the Ethics Commission reflecting testimony last time we discussed the bill, as well as some other features that came in from significant consensus from committee members, changes they want to see made. In brief, they are changes to the date of filing, requirement for disclosure of travel disclosures for tag-alongs, that is for staff and family members, immediate family members. There's a de minimis exception built in for disclosures, and now there's some prohibitive language in there that has been removed to allow additional voluntary disclosure for instances where travel was compensated by the state or state out of pocket. And now there is kind of a carve out for hybrid travel. So when there's a mixture of third party paying for it with either state or out of pocket, the out of pocket state paid expenses disclosed only the third party. So where those appear in the bill, we'll now get the language here. In section 1, let's see, which will add 3 VSA 1214. And first, this is under applicability, who and when should these disclosures be made. We first have an A2 halfway towards the bottom of page 1. We have the restructuring of that once prohibitive language that would have required there not to be a filing if travel was fully paid for by either the state or the state federal government or out of pocket. And so the language now reads, notwithstanding subdivision 1 of the section, a member or an executive officer is not required to file disclosure for travel, et cetera, is from advance.
What page are you on, Tim?
Page 1.
And
I can do that.
moving down,
You have the great draft.
2.1.
I don't know, when did you pass out draft?
I'm not sure.
I just have it as a
But
note.
it's just, there should be a
Okay, so I
new
have
version.
one.
I'll do that.
Okay, I got it. Did you email it to us or is it on the website?
It's on the website.
Thank you. That's fine. So I can print it for you if you want. You always know I love it printed, but I'm happy to do it because then I can write my notes on it when it's printed. I do like to write my notes too.
Here. That's the bill. Just use it and scroll down,
Okay.
because I haven't printed. Sorry.
Oh, you do? Oh, great. Okay, thanks.
So we'll move on now to the de minimis exception.
Yeah.
So, and this is under 2B, again, at the bottom of page 1, breaking down to page 2. That is. So, see, executive member or an executive officer is not required to file a disclosure if the travel is of de minimis value, meaning having the value of $50 or less per source per occasion, provided that the aggregate market value of the individual item received from any one source shall not exceed $150 in a calendar year.
Senator Bielski.
Does that align? I'm assuming you chose that because it aligns with the definition of de minimis in other places.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. That is why we chose that, Mr. Chair.
I did ask Senator Bielski earlier why 150 was chosen. So does that mean the executive officers already have that as a guideline? 50 and the 150?
Yes, as far as accepting gifts,
Yeah.
all public servants, including yourself,
Yeah.
state employees,
Okay.
or not judiciary,
Okay.
of the legislative and executive branches, right, have to abide by certain gift provisions. Usually there's a blanket prohibition on them. And then we go through a series of exceptions on the de minimis, and that's what we have.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to, there's two provisions about, the hybrid travel not having to disclose for, items. Even though the trip is overall maybe paid amongst multiple sources. Within that trip, the specific items that come out of the pocket or are paid solely by the state do not have to be disclosed. We find those, and let's see, B, contents of design and disclosure, going down to 1D2. And
I'm gonna too.
so on page 2 for reference,
Yep.
and also in subsection F, following page, which we read together. Let's see, and just to further orient the committee, this is where we have that with reasonable particularity, any expense made or reimbursement received for all costs associated with transportation to and from a destination, and food, refreshments, tickets, and admissions, entertainment, lodging, and anything else of value, one cost or in kind associated with travel has to be disclosed in writing. Notwithstanding that provision, a member or an executive officer is not required to disclose any expenses or reimbursements for any travel fully paid by the member or executive officer. By the member or executive officer, this state or another state or federal government.
Yep.
So then moving on to other things that need to be disclosed in writing. We have F, if certain costs associated with the travel were in part paid for or reimbursed by any other source than the state or the member or executive officer, indicate what amount was paid for or reimbursed by. We have some existing language that was kind of utilized here.
Does line 3 indicate the state or other state?
It is just the state, our state, it's not.
So it's-
states.
Because on line 19 on the previous page, it has another state.
That's true. Yeah, those are different. I can update that. Sure.
I think we probably should be consistent.
Yeah,
No problem.
and I would advocate for it being just this state.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Is
So changing it from.
Well, it could be by another state. Let's say you were being brought down to Connecticut to testify on a bill that you had proposed. Another state could be paying for you.
well, this,
But I'm not saying that's, nothing in this says you can't do that, it just says that should be disclosed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a policy decision whether the committee wants, if another state or the federal government's picking up the bill. Do we want that?
I think,
well, on the one hand, in the provision earlier, it says that it's not required any expenses or reimbursements for any travel fully paid by the member, this state, another state, or the federal government. However, it's a hybrid situation where some of the travel was picked up. I don't know why we wouldn't want to be consistent.
I know I do want us to be consistent, I'm just advocating that the way we be consistent is removing another state and just sticking with our state or the federal government.
So on 19, you want to
in
strike the
part, that is in part because, and maybe Tim can ease my concern, is how is state defined necessarily? And I have brought this concern up in other instances.
These state capitalized refers to this state.
right.
No others. If it were saying states plural, or any states lowercase, that would be any of the 50 states in the state.
Only any of the 50 United States.
Yes, if we meant like a state, then it's more
A nation
kind of
state.
general state, nation states. That would have to be defined.
So by saying
construction.
another state, it is very clear that it only means the 50 United States. And what about their territories?
So let's say if Puerto Rico was paying
Yes.
for something. Yeah, I'd have to check to see, we have some general, construction interpretation statutes in, Title I. I'd have to see if.
And what if Puerto Rico was paying to lobby me to no longer be a territory, but instead to maybe be a state or to be its own thing? Like, and that's where it gets tricky for me when the definition of another state feels really important to me.
I guess I don't understand the distinction between whether they fully pay or partially pay.
What I'm saying is, depending on the definition I think it should be disclosed in both instances if it is another state.
But that isn't what this says.
I know I'm asking to have it changed.
Oh, I thought we started off agreeing and then I got confused. So if you could add another state.
No. I don't want to add another state to the other spot. I want to take it out everywhere.
Oh,
I would disagree with you. I think that, first of all, we don't want to talk about the subject of why anybody is going, because that, I think, is a dangerous and slippery slope. I think you only want to talk about who in your professional capacity is being asked to go to another state to do whatever they're going to do, or another territory. And I would be happy to including other US territories. I think as it's written now is fine. I don't care what the subject is. And I think that's really dangerous to start going to why they would be being asked.
So then do we also think it's fine for another nation to pay for us to travel no
It
matter
doesn't
what?
say that.
No, I understand that, but the reason that I feel kind of strongly that it should be our state or the federal government is and why I have concern about the definition here. I think it gets murky.
See, I just see us being asked, another state would only ask us probably if we had some a bill of interest, or we were sponsoring a bill or working on an initiative that they valued so highly that they were willing to ask you to come and be willing to pay for you. My guess is most of those states wouldn't offer to pay for you.
That's probably true, but I think that if we are working outside of our state or our federal government that we both belong to, then we should disclose it.
so should we add a federal government here?
Isn't it already there?
No.
No, we do federal government.
Yeah, we do.
So if the committee wants, I understand it, if a legislator or an executive officer their travel is paid in part or fully by another state, territory, protectorate, et cetera. If there's a one for disclosure there, I can go through and basically kind of frame it and scratch the reference to state, and that's how we would accomplish it. That
And then it would be consistent throughout.
I can do that.
So
That's
just
the
our
committee.
state and federal government.
Or ourselves.
Okay. So if you go to Connecticut, you're off the hook. You don't have to report that.
If I pay to go to Connecticut, I wouldn't have to report it anyways, but if
Right.
Connecticut pays for me to go to Connecticut, then I think I should disclose that.
But that doesn't.
That's what I'm asking
This
you to
is-
change.
Yeah, and I guess if we're letting us go to the federal government, going to Washington to testify, I don't know why we wouldn't allow ourselves to go to Connecticut or New York to testify.
We're allowed to disclosing whether or not you have had it paid for.
But I think they're kind of equal.
Also, here's where I disagree. I belong to the government of the state I am in, and I belong to the government of the United States. I do not belong to the government of Connecticut.
No, but they may be asking you to represent something that you've done here, that they may be considering.
And I can still do that. I just would disclose it because I don't have a membership to the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
I'm open to it.
fine. We're still gonna go to the House hopefully anyway, so.
So we want to put federal government back in the second provision, which is the partial reimbursement.
So I'll rework
Okay,
the various mentions throughout the bill so that there will be required disclosure for another state, et cetera.
In another country.
Yes, that's already
Yes, right.
signed up.
Yeah.
There'll be disclosure required if there's
okay.
partial or
Yeah.
full payment.
So I think we do agree. We were just saying it.
Wonderful when we do.
It's thrilling. I'll tell you, the rest of the committee's thrilled. So. The rest of the committee's thrilled.
Sometimes I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
Is that your thrill? Oh, okay.
I will have
Okay,
that.
so then we're on section.
Tim, you have a sense of what I'm trying, what
Yes.
we're,
Okay. So are we now on page?
Yes.
Let's go.
So now we move on to the tag-along provision. So a member or
I like it.
a member or an executive officer who also let's see, makes the same, member or executive officer shall also make the same disclosures described in subdivision 1, that's all the self-reporting things, the subsection for any staff and immediate family accompanying the member or executive officer on travel. These disclosures shall include the name and title of any staff, and only the nature of the relationship or the immediate family. And immediate family is defined in state ethics code already, and I can put that up. So everybody else?
Is staff defined? Because
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, would that include an intern? Would that include?
It could.
I think it was the way I read it.
That or not.
Well, that's why I just want to make sure.
It depends on the nature of the essentially is there employment relationships or not. But we can define that if you believe there's room for ambiguity. I don't think the state ethics code recognizes a term staff that's standalone and not a conflict of this because we don't have job disclosures. So we can build out a definition of that if it wanted.
I mean, I just want to make sure it captures. Like, I would want it to include an intern. I would, someone that's doing the legislative work with me, even if they may be doing so for school credit or in a.
Yeah, then I would think it's probably needed to spell that out, just the staff typically implies pay. That's what that means. Okay.
Should we say paid?
No, I don't want to say that. And here's why I have seen it happen, where a conference is happening and they're like, oh, we'll pay for you and your staff. And because we don't have staff, someone asks their friend, like, hey, you want to come and you can just be my staff?
Okay.
So you want them included?
Yes.
But if it's a friend and not a staff member, I mean, the staff member
Well,
implies actually a
But
professional
also, if
relationship.
I wanted, if the state of Connecticut were really interested in the work that I did and that Caroline did all the research for, they said, we'll pay for both of you. Or I'll use it Norway. If Norway said, we want you and Caroline to come and bring this research that you did, we're gonna pay for it. I think that should be disclosed. So it's both of us.
Oh, yeah.
So something along the lines of paid, volunteer, or credit, or maybe. Sure. That can be it. I have the definition of immediate family that interests of immediate family. Already in statute, that means individual spouse, domestic partner, or civil union partner, child or foster child, sibling, parent, or such relations by marriage or by civil union or domestic partnership, or an individual claimed as a dependent for federal tax and purposes. So rather than restating it, there was,
You're just gonna cross reference?
well, not even cross reference, but it's in the same chapter. So
Okay.
If I do that,
So then we move down to subsection C at the bottom of page 3, we're gonna have filing days. And member in the General Assembly or an executive officer shall file a disclosure within 30 days following the conclusion of trial.
30 days.
And then another change, I believe that's it.
Okay, so you'll make some additional changes and
Yes.
come back.
Okay.
What's today, Wednesday?
today is the 25th.
You want to try for Friday?
Sure. Then we could vote it out.
You could,
Whoops.
because the only thing we have on Friday right now, I'll be very transparent. Friday is the final day before the break. Some people may have reservations that would necessitate early dismissal.
Oh, they aren't going to town meetings?
Some of us do not have town meetings. We have everything done by Australian ballot.
Anyway, I brought that only
Still at gatherings.
to offer that we might be able to, since the floor is early Friday, if we take up the Burlington Charter, even if we don't pass it on Friday, because again, it's already met crossover, we don't have to worry about anything that's come over from the House. So if we put this on the agenda for Friday, we could probably still plan on being able to leave the building at a decent hour on Friday afternoon.
What time would you like to put it on for?
Well, right behind the charter, I guess. Well, that is the two. Put it on at 1:30.
I know, I think this is the last thing on our
Yeah, it is.
today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to dig that through my very, very tired brain. I thought we had maybe a couple of questions that were for you when you were not available to testify. And I wonder if now would be a
Sure.
reasonable time to get that way and before we send Tim to make changes, because
Okay.
Is there a more bill that you could? That's right.
Well, can we just clarify where things are with the ethics commission's request? Financial request, because it's in approps, right? Aren't you in approps?
I testified, I'll come over here.
Yeah.
I testified before House Probes, or House and House and Senate.
myself for the record.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
My name is Paul Erlbaum. I am a commissioner and the chair of the State Ethics Commission.
Okay.
Thank you. So I've testified before both Senate and House Government Operations Committees and both Senate and House Appropriations Committees. I haven't heard anything. You told me, am I supposed to nag or do anything else? I'm a novice at this. But
Well,
I should,
Definitely not, yeah,
Oh,
well,
should-
definitely
yeah.
lobby
the
advocate, yeah.
squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I believe, because we don't have a bill that the request for your staffing is in, I don't believe, do we?
It was not in my bill, but I know towards the end of testimony, the question came up because I believe you had some things you had questions about and wanted to maybe add to this bill.
Yes.
And I think along the way, there might have been some other questions that CJ did his best to answer, but also sort of said it might be better to hear from Paul.
So is this something, Tanya, you're thinking of adding to this bill, to the?
I think some of I wanted to make that proposal.
So I think that is a great idea.
Oh,
Is it in the governor's recommend?
I wish, but
I don't know that we could draft a letter. Allison was.
Yes, I'm happy to draft a
Rather
letter
than
or
put it
work
in the
with
bill.
Tim to draft a letter to the Appropriations Committee, supporting a more robust ethics commission, which we need to have, or it's never going to survive. And so I believe that you could get your testimony to approach to us, Tim and I can oversee and create a draft
oh, sure.
of that. So if you could get that to us soon, that'd be great.
I will be glad to do
And
that.
yes, the answer is the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I will be on House Appropriations like nobody's tomorrow.
So maybe just an email to the chair and ask, what's the status?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you for the.
Do you have any suggestions about the bill?
About
a trap.
291.
291, I endorse the changes.
Oh.
Tim has already made as far as the original bill. And then there were 3 or was 4, I think it was 3 changes that.
Yeah,
Tim,
we've just gone over.
that, total amendments, one having to do with the quorum for that ethics commission. And one was correcting Scrivener's error in Act 171.
We must have already done that.
yes, we
But I
did.
think that we
Okay.
discussed last week.
Yeah, okay.
And TJ said that you might have questions for me about those, but I'd be glad.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Senator White, was there anything else that you were hoping to put in this bill, or was it just the money?
It was mainly the money.
Because
That's what I was hoping.
So where?
I know there was also some discussion about
This,
I wouldn't
some of
put
the
that in
changes
bill.
we made a couple of years ago, perhaps.
Oh, around investigating
Unmaking
powers?
them.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I would definitely, but my understanding is they don't want the investigatory powers until they have the
they
staff.
have no staff. to do it.
So if we were going to move forward with expanding your scope, I don't think it would be appropriate without the staff members, which I think you've testified to.
Right, I mean,
So if we're not gonna put the staff and positions in this bill,
There-
I guess
the
I'm-
letter.
okay, well, if we are gonna do that,
That's what,
then yes.
what's gonna get us your ask to approach.
Okay, well, then, yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Staff and
Let me
money.
look, what's your,
money for staff. Yes,
Right.
and also for office expenses, to accommodate.
But
staff.
where are the other things, the quorum bits? Where are
They're already in the bill.
they're already.
And Tim has drafted that as a tag along to S 291. And yes, we currently have two unfunded mandates, and coming up in September 2027, we'll have a third. So, yes.
Okay. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Did you have a question?
I didn't, I just wanted to make sure, like I said, I remember, I cannot remember every word of the testimony we had on this previously, but I do remember there were a couple of points where people had questions that, and now maybe they don't have them anymore.
Okay.
Oh, we probably do. We may have just forgotten.
I'll, you want to go through your notes?
Yeah, but it is helpful to get your way in that the changes we've already made to the bill are approved. And you don't have additional changes.
Thanks again.
Okay, thank you, folks. And
And Paul, if you could email us,
before the night is over, I'm looking at it. And email it to you, Tim, and to you. Sir Clarkson.
and to Tanya, who's the sponsor of this bill,
All right.
and the chair.
Yeah, you can send it to Senate under.
I just.
You might as well send it to the committee.
Oh, check.
See it.
Will do.
So
Is there any, did you have something else, Al?
yeah, because the quorum piece
The
is
form is in the bill.
in the new
It's
draft.
in the new draft.
Thank you, which I don't have.
It wasn't highlighted because it already wasn't included on line 6.
Yeah,
page
but
seven.
it's on the new draft, which
Yeah.
I don't have. Okay, great, thanks.
Yes, it is there.
Thank you.
The
reason I had asked is,
Yes, we felt like this was a reasonable vehicle to make those
I think it's a great.
clarifying.
Does the committee have anything else today?
I would remind you all about Farmers Night which is gonna be fabulous night, and I would also remind you about CSG at Hugo's from 6 to 8.
And VSDA
Right.
is at
And VSDA
from 4:30 to 6:30.
4:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
And
So
Sportsman's Caucus
Is somewhere at some
in the
time.
cafeteria.
Thank you.
with that in mind,
It's too
why don't we adjourn?